told a quote from a great poet. I think I mentioned her last week on the show, Mary Oliver.
Oh, the poet, sure.
Yeah, and they asked her about like the secrets for life, and she said there are just three secrets for life. One is to pay attention, two is to be astonished, and three is to tell other people. And I think those first two things that she said, to pay attention, when you begin to move into living in the present moment, and and that involves something very profound. Carlos Castaneda said that one day he woke up. He said, one day I finally realized that I no longer needed a personal history. And he said, just like drinking, he said, I gave it up. And he said that, and only that, has made all the difference. This idea of getting rid of the stuff that fills your mind with all of the stuff that's ever happened to you, and all the labels that you put on your life, and all of the reasons why you tell yourself you can't have what you want, or it's usually based upon some history that you have, and all of the conditioning that you've had imposed upon you by your culture and by your family, all well-meaning people, but so much of that is just programmed to keep you ordinary, or to keep you in line, or to keep you to be just like everybody else, and so on. And if you can just give up your personal history, just let the whole thing go, and pay attention. And when I thought about that yesterday, I went for a swim, and which I do every day. But it was after doing this seminar with Eckhart, and I noticed that I was more in the moment in that swim than any swim I've done in the last several years. And I swim virtually every single day at sunset for about an hour in the ocean, and I just I was in every stroke. And every time I would look down with the goggles on, like whatever you see, whether you see fish or you see turtles or you just see, rocks or trash or whatever it is that you see, it was like it was almost like the transcendence of time, and just getting past it and just really immersing yourself into that present moment. And the second thing, of course, is in addition to paying attention. Because as you pay attention, I mean, as I was swimming and I would look up, I've done this same route for years and years on Kaanapali Beach here in Maui. I would look up and there was a tree, and I noticed there was a tree next to a building there that in probably 10 years of swimming, I've never seen that tree before. And I must have walked by it 10,000 times if I've not walked by it once. But I really never noticed and I just, as I was swimming, I stopped swimming for a moment, and I just became like one with this tree. And it's like it was such a whole new experience. It was really very, very beautiful. And then the other thing is to be astonished, to just stay in that state of being bewildered. Like Rumi said, sell your cleverness and purchase bewilderment. Just to be astonished at every breath you take. Be astonished at who you are, and that you're even alive, that you were ever born, and that you're not this body that you're in, and that you're this invisibleness. And be astonished by the cloud formations, and and the little bugs, and the spiders, and the sand, and virtually everything. And it was really just a great treat to be up there. And I had because Eckhart and I do things very, very differently. He's a different kind of a speaker. He's very, very well thought of, and he's certainly very, very popular, and it's done extremely well. And but we do things very different, and I was a little bit concerned about that when we were going on stage together to dialogue together for a couple of hours. But we just let go of all of that, and we really had a very loving embrace up there, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful couple of hours. I was very, very touched by it. Be astonished, pay attention, and then tell others. Share what it is that you are experiencing in your life. Just share it. Don't hold on to it.
That's interesting to say let go of your personal history and let go of your story, because so many of us define ourselves by that or what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to let go.
And we also not only do that, but we believe that our personal history is the reason why we are doing the things that we're doing, or not doing the things that we're not doing, because of what I've always told the story as a great metaphor of being on the back of a boat, a speedboat, and it's heading up the river at say 30 or 40 knots pretty quickly. And as you're standing on the bow of the boat, looking at the stern rather of the boat, and looking at at what you see back there, you see the wake. And so if you ask yourself, what is the wake? What is that wake? And the wake is just the trail that is left behind. And then if you ask yourself the question, well, what's driving the boat? And what's making the boat go in the direction that it's going? And what's making the boat go in the direction that it's going is the present moment energy that's being generated right now, right in this second. And then the most important question to ask yourself in this little metaphor as you stand there looking at the wake is it possible for the wake to drive the boat? Which so many people think is happening in their life. Is the trail that is left behind is just a trail that is left behind. And it cannot make the boat go forward. That's not what's driving the boat. And it's not what's driving your life. What's driving your life is the present moment energy that you are using right now. But so many people use up the present moment telling themselves, I can't do this because I've never been able to do that, because I'm not good at it, because I don't have enough money, because I don't have the education, because I don't have the support that I want, because the economy is bad. And they use all of this stuff that's in their past. I know when I was reading Castaneda, years ago, he said that you have to be able to check. He was told by his teacher, Don Juan Matus, that you have to check yourself into a motel, the seediest, rattiest motel that there is in Los Angeles, and stay there, and don't come out until it doesn't make any difference to anyone else outside of that room whether you come out or not.
No, that's a great lesson there. It's an exercise.
It's like, if you're saying, oh well, my mother will be upset, or my kid, then you still got to stay in there. You got to stay in there till you've forgotten all of that, and when you can just walk out and have no personal history whatsoever.
Right. Or what will people think if they see me coming out of this dump?
Right. Yeah.
Worried about what people are thinking.
And I haven't shaved in 2 years, and whatever. And when you can get past all of that. But I mean, that's extreme. But the whole idea is that so many people, especially in doing this radio show for 5 or 6 years, think that they can't do the things that they would like to do and can't make their life work at the level they'd like to have it work because of all of the things that are in the wake. And then they believe that the wake is driving the boat. But it's a complete illusion. The wake and the trail behind you doesn't drive anything. It's just something that you can observe and notice and let go of.
That's great. Anyway, I like that.
That's
a good lesson for today.
Yeah, Eckhart speaks a lot about the now, about the present. And he's just a very beautiful, peaceful, wonderful man. I had a wonderful time with him. Did a lot of joking about that list that's out there on the internet, that Watkins list, the 100 most spiritually influential people alive.
And he was just above you, right?
And he's number 1, and I'm number 3. And I was talking about my spirit and my ego. My spirit was saying, what difference does it make? I mean, it's like nobody's any better than anybody else, and having lists like this is so silly. And my ego is saying, wait a minute, why am I only number 3? I've got to take this guy down. And I was talking, I raised my fist up and said, we might have to duke it out here for the number 1 position. And then, of course, there's the Dalai Lama in there just above me as well. And so,
was he aware of the list?
He was aware of it, yeah, and he was surprised that I brought it up. But we had a lot of fun with it because it's just obviously very silly.
That's funny.
Making anybody more important than anybody else.
No, everybody has such a great message, and people, give their messages differently, and one might, resonate with someone differently, and but it's all great information.
If you're helping to improve the quality of life for anybody else anywhere, anybody doing that's on the same team I'm on, and I welcome them.
Team Wayne.
Team Wayne.
I like that.
Right.
Well, we have some great calls up here ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to do that.
Ready to do it?
This morning. Mm-hmm.
We've got about 12 minutes of the segment, so definitely time to get a few people in. So let's start in Florida. I heard they got a lot of rain over the weekend. Robin in Sarasota on line 4. And Robin,
hi, Dr. Dyer.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hi, Robin.
Hi. You are the person to ask because with all of your children, I've thought about you a lot during this past year and how would you handle this. And my daughter has a habit of partnering with way underachievers. She's a very bright, attractive, well-educated, accomplished woman, and she seems to keep every time she goes to a different relationship, and she hasn't had too many, but she's had 3, and each time it makes the one before look like an overachiever. And I keep thinking about you, and I think with your kids, you would just let it go, and it would all be okay, and it's their life. And for me, I wish I could get there. I feel like it's my shattered dreams. I feel like it's her wasted life. It has my husband and I just beside ourselves, and I wish I could get to a more accepting place of it, but it gets worse and worse and worse every time, and I guess I need to know how to get to acceptance.
Yeah, and how close are you to your daughter?
Very.
Very close. So like, because I'm wondering, how old is she?
Well, she's 26, and when I say very, she has grown into her own woman. She owns her own home.
Mm-hmm.
She owns her own business. But we've been very close, and
yeah.
I think with this last time, this next, we accepted the middle guy, and then when this one came along, I really just kind of put up a little bit of a wall, and we've broken that down again. But it hurts me so bad, and it's shattered my dreams, but it's also shattering my dreams for her, and I dread the holidays, and it's not the kind of life I thought I was going to have.
Oh, sweetheart, Robin, you got to really make a big shift here this morning.
I know.
This afternoon, right? Really. First of all, what in the world is your dream have to do with your daughter? She's got to live her own dream and make her own dream come true. And secondly, it just makes me curious about why you even know who she's dating and why you're so involved in that. I mean, my 26-year-old. I have a 26-year-old daughter. I have a daughter every age, so it's like, but the idea that I somehow would allow my happiness or my dream or my fulfillment or who I am as a man and as a person, and I've just got so miles to go before I sleep and promises to keep. To quote the poet, My life is so complete and so full, and my plate just overflows, and there's so much that I'm involved in my life that my children, your children are not your children. They're the products of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not for you. I mean, that's from Khalil Gibran. I'm sure you've heard me say it before.
Yeah.
The idea of you letting your happiness be dependent upon who your daughter dates or doesn't date, you have to really look at why aren't you fulfilling your own dharma, and what is it that you've got to do and your husband has to do that you're not doing, number one. And that's, and I don't want to give you a lecture on this, but
right.
I want to see you, change around your level of happiness. Number two is there's a very important book written many, many years ago. It's called Smart Women, Foolish Choices. And what you are describing here is a very, very common thing. That there are a lot of women who have this built-in sort of need to. It's almost like a maternal thing, and they get involved. They get themselves involved with men who usually are not at their intellectual level and emotional level. Many women that I know in this field, highly functioning women. I'm not going to mention their names, but there's 5 or 6 that come to mind right now, who have been married to or involved with men who just didn't work and took advantage of them and got supported by them and ended up getting divorced and taking half of what they had. And I mean, these are very accomplished women that you would be surprised if you knew what their personal histories are. And so often it just revolves around this, like, I'm going to fix this guy, or that they're attracted to something in a man that they don't have in themselves. I mean, they're responsible, they're attractive, they're smart, and they're filling in the blanks of their life with things that they are not, with opposites. They say that opposites attract. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I would not, unless this was somebody who was really doing damage, and was really, physically abusing one of my children. But my children have never picked people like that.
No, and theater.
Yeah, I'm independent of that, and you know what? I would try to find God in this guy with the holidays coming up. I would try to suspend all of my judgment towards this man. And I would, I would welcome him. I would look for the God that's inside him and each and every one of us, and not come at it from a place of I'm superior to you. My daughter is superior to you. You don't really belong here in this place. If she loves him and cares about him, she's got her own. She's got the anchor of the universe located in her, and what. I still, even when I hear you talking about this, I just wonder how different it might be if you just didn't react the way that you're reacting. If you didn't get yourself so upset over it, and you just
how different it would be for me or for her, or
for you,
for me.
You,
yeah,
and maybe even for her, but you can never figure out. You can't figure love out. I mean, people. Think that you should love someone you're the same age that you are and the same intellectual capacity that you have and you fall in love and it's like Rumi said that lovers do not finally find each other, they're in each other all along, and the people that you love, I've been separated from my wife for 10 years. I've been involved with people who are younger than I am, and I hear other people criticizing and saying you should be with someone your own age, or you should be with someone who's got the same interest in you, and so on. And I say, love doesn't work like that. Love it just is, and basically it's. Here's the truth, Robin. It's really none of your business.
No, that's why I had to talk to you. I have gone through this in my own mind for months and months, and I thought, how would you do this?
I would just say, I hope you're happy, and ultimately, if unless it's like I say, some physical abuse thing going on, ultimately she'll see the light, or maybe that's what she wants. Maybe she'll be the happiest she's ever been. Usually, it's smart women, foolish choices. Generally speaking. The people that I'm speaking about, people that you've read their books,
right.
have got themselves into the same kind of mess, and gotten married to them, and then been taken to the cleaners and gotten sick over it, and it's like.
And that's what I worry about as a mom. That's where I say, that's the part that worries me. If you don't want to know that your daughter's going to go. I mean, at 26, she owns her own home and her own business, and she's very successful and educated. And this person doesn't even own he owns nothing. Let me just say nothing. And I just feel like he is a nice person.
What does she love about him? What does she like about him?
I think well, this is her word. He makes me happy.
Then you should be happy for her. Let her be. And even if he ends up with half of her stuff and everything, if he makes her happy, and she, and she's your daughter, then you should say to her, you're asking my advice, okay? You should say, I'm happy for you, and I'm going to look for all of the good that I possibly can see in this person. Remember the words of Mother Teresa, every day I see Jesus Christ in all of his distressing disguises. And there's a beautiful soul inside there, and if he makes her happy, and who knows whether it's physical, whether it's spiritual, whatever it might be. He maybe treats her like she's a goddess, which she probably is. Let it go, sweetheart. Let it go. Get on with your own life. What is it that you're not doing, Robin? That's what I want to know. You're a young woman
maybe
yourself.
That's it. Now that my kids are grown, maybe that's what I need to do is just find that thing for me.
Yeah.
But I was ready for the next chapter.
How old are you?
58.
58. Oh, my goodness. You're just getting started. I'm 71. I am so busy at this time in my life that who my daughters are going out with is of such a small priority in my life that, it's like I tell them, work it out. You'll figure it out. If you're going out with a jerk, ultimately you'll discover that. Let it go. There's too much joy to be focused on, too much good things to be thinking about.
Well, I knew you
instead
would
of
have
all
the right words, and it was embarrassing to tell you, someone who I admire so
No,
much,
it's not
that I'm
embarrassing
acting
at
the way
all.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm ashamed
love
of my
this guy.
actions.
Love
So,
him. Love him.
yeah.
He is your test. Love him like your daughter loves him, and watch and see what happens.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you,
Namaste.
sweetheart. God, but we're going to send you. Have you seen The Shift?
Several times, but I keep giving it away. I'm doing what you
good.
asked
Well,
for us to do.
Good. We're going to send another one
Sharing
to
it.
you, the book and the movie as well.
Thank you
God
so
bless
much.
you.
Okay. Goodbye.
You're welcome, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
That's great advice. I mean, you can tell she loves her daughter so
Yeah.
much, and she means well, but I mean, I'm sure my parents didn't like any of the guys I dated,
Yeah.
and they
I actually never had that,
luckily,
though. All of the guys that my children have dated, and some of them have come in and then they've left, and some of them have been jerks to them. They're not jerks in life, but I mean, they haven't treated them as well. They figure it out. They go through their crying things, and then they move on to someone else. And if your life is full and focused and so on, you don't have time to be concerned or upset about what somebody else is.